Welcome to Simple English. Strong mind. Here, your words grow stronger, and so does your heart.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Simple English, Strong Mind. I'm Jack, and today we're exploring something that affects all of us at some point in our lives, finding our life purpose.
And I'm Emma. We receive many messages from our listeners asking about this very topic. You know, that feeling of wondering, what am I really meant to do with my life? Or how do I find meaning in what I do? So today we're diving deep into practical ways to discover your life purpose.
Absolutely, Emma. Before we get started, I want our listeners to take a deep breath. Finding your life purpose isn't something that happens overnight. It's okay if you're feeling lost or confused right now. That's actually a great starting point for growth.
That's so true, Jack. And I think it's important to mention that purpose isn't something you just find one day like discovering a hidden treasure. It's something that evolves and grows with you throughout your life.
I love that perspective. So, shall we start exploring some practical ways people can begin this journey of discovering their life purpose?
Let's do it. I think a good place to start is with the simple question. What do you deeply care about? This might seem basic, but many of us get so caught up in daily life that we don't take time to reflect on what truly matters to us.
That's a great first step. In my research for today's episode, I came across an exercise where you imagine having a magic wand that could change anything in the world. What would you change and why? Your answer reveals a lot about what you care about most.
Oh, I love that exercise. It really helps you think beyond your daily concerns. You know, I tried something similar once. I asked myself, if money and time weren't issues, what would I spend my days doing? My answer surprised me. It wasn't lounging on a beach, but actually teaching children how to read.
That's fascinating, Emma. It shows that deep down you value education and helping others develop. Did that realization affect your life choices afterward?
It absolutely did. I started volunteering at a local literacy program on weekends. It didn't change my whole career immediately, but it added something meaningful to my life that I was missing. What about you, Jack? Have you ever had a moment of clarity about your purpose?
I have, but it wasn't what I expected. For years, I thought my purpose was tied to achieving specific career goals. But after experiencing some health challenges, I realized my deeper purpose was about connecting people and creating spaces for authentic conversation, much like what we do with this podcast.
That's beautiful, Jack. And it highlights another important point about finding your purpose. Sometimes life's challenges point us toward what matters most. Research shows that many people discover their purpose after going through difficult times.
That's so true. But let's talk about some more structured approaches. One method that experts recommend is identifying your strengths and talents. We all have natural abilities that can be clues to our purpose.
Definitely. There are several free online assessments that can help with this, like the VIA Character Strengths Survey. But I also think asking people who know you well can be really eye-opening.
I love that approach. Sometimes others see qualities in us that we don't recognize in ourselves. Emma, what kind of questions would you suggest asking friends or family members to get helpful feedback?
Great question. You could ask things like, what do you think I'm particularly good at? Or when have you seen me at my happiest or most engaged? Or even, how do you think I make a difference in the lives of others? Their answers might surprise you.
Those are excellent questions. You know, another exercise I found interesting is what some call the best possible future self exercise. You take 20 minutes to write about your life as if everything has gone as well as it possibly could and you've accomplished all your goals. What would that look like?
I can see how that would be revealing. And there's a clever follow-up to that exercise I've heard about. After you imagine that future self, you then imagine that this older, wiser version of yourself travels back in time to today. What advice would they give you right now?
Oh, that's powerful. It connects your future vision to concrete actions you can take today. I might have to try that myself.
Please do, and let me know what your future self tells you.
I definitely will. Now, let's talk about another approach, volunteering or trying new activities. Sometimes we discover our purpose by doing rather than thinking.
Absolutely. I've known several people who found their calling by volunteering for a cause they cared about. One friend started helping at an animal shelter just for a few hours a month, and it eventually led to a complete career change into animal welfare.
That's a great example, and it highlights something important. Finding your purpose doesn't always mean you have to quit your job or make dramatic life changes overnight. Sometimes it starts with small steps in a direction that feels meaningful.
Exactly. It's about bringing more purpose into your everyday life rather than waiting for some big revelation or perfect opportunity. Speaking of which, I think values play a huge role in finding purpose. When we understand what we truly value, it becomes easier to make choices that align with our purpose.
That's a crucial point. So how can someone get clearer on their values?
One simple but effective exercise is to look at a list of common values. Things like creativity, family, adventure, health, stability, helping others, and rank them in order of importance to you. Just the process of prioritizing can be very revealing.
I can imagine. And what's interesting is that our values can shift throughout different phases of life, which means our sense of purpose might evolve too.
That's such an important point, Jack. Purpose isn't static. What gives your life meaning at 25 might be different from what inspires you at 45 or 65, and that's completely okay.
Absolutely. Now, I want to address something that might be holding some of our listeners back. Fear of embarrassment. Mark Manson, the author, has a fascinating perspective on this. He suggests that the things that make us feel vulnerable or potentially embarrassed are often the very things we should be pursuing.
That's an interesting viewpoint. Can you explain a bit more?
Sure. His argument is that anything meaningful requires us to be beginners at some point, to be willing to be bad at something before we can get good at it. If we avoid anything that might make us feel foolish, we'll never do anything important.
I can relate to that. When I first started public speaking, I was terrified of looking stupid in front of an audience, but that fear was a sign that it mattered to me. Now it's one of the most rewarding parts of my work.
That's a perfect example, Emma. Sometimes our fears point us toward our purpose. The question isn't, what am I passionate about, but rather, what am I willing to endure discomfort for because it matters so much to me?
That's a powerful reframe. I also think it's worth mentioning that purpose doesn't have to be grand or world-changing. Finding purpose can be as simple as being the best parent you can be, creating beautiful gardens, or being the friend who always listens.
Such an important reminder. Not everyone's purpose involves starting a global movement or becoming famous. Most meaningful purposes are lived out in small, consistent actions that make a positive difference in the lives of others.
Exactly. And speaking of others, connections with people often play a huge role in our sense of purpose. Research consistently shows that meaningful relationships are a key factor in feeling that life has meaning.
That's so true. Sometimes our purpose is deeply intertwined with our connections to others, which reminds me of another interesting exercise, looking at the people you admire. Who inspires you and why? The qualities you admire in others might be clues to what you value most.
I love that idea. It's like creating a composite hero from all the people who inspire you and then asking yourself how you could cultivate those same qualities in your own life.
Precisely. And it doesn't have to be famous people either. Sometimes it's the quiet heroism of everyday people around us that points the way.
Jack, we've covered quite a few practical strategies today. Let's quickly summarize them for our listeners. First, identify what you care about deeply. Use exercises like the magic wand question or imagining your ideal future.
Second, know your strengths and values. Take assessments, ask trusted friends for feedback, and prioritize your values.
Third, take action. Volunteer, try new activities, and don't be afraid to be a beginner at something meaningful.
Fourth, look for purpose in relationships and in the qualities you admire in others.
And finally, remember that purpose evolves over time and doesn't have to be grandiose to be meaningful.
Before we wrap up, I'd like to pose a question to our listeners. What small step could you take this week towards something that feels meaningful to you? Just one tiny action that moves you in the direction of purpose.
That's a wonderful question to leave them with, Jack, and I'd love to hear their answers. Listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments on our website or social media.
And remember, finding your life purpose is not a race or competition. It's a personal journey that unfolds over time. Be patient with yourself in the process.
Exactly. The search itself can be meaningful even before you have clear answers. It shows you care about living a life that matters.
Well said, Emma. And with that, we'll end today's episode. If you found this helpful, please subscribe to Simple English Strong Mind wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget, every day is a new opportunity to take one small step toward a more purposeful life.
Thank you for listening, everyone. Until next time, keep growing, keep exploring, and remember, you don't have to have all the answers today. Just the courage to ask the questions.
Take care, everyone.